Hello, everyone. Um, my name's Dan, and today I just wanted to kind of go over a little bit about what happened to me in the last couple of years here, almost 2 years, because a lot has changed in my life, and I just wanted to kind of share this with people. So it basically starts, well, let me give you a little bit of a backstory on my income and my goals in life before COVID. So basically, I had a personal training license and I was licensed to be a personal trainer, but it wasn't something that I absolutely loved. It was fun and I was in good shape, so it was nice at the time. I started my own boot camp, but I never worked for like a big box gym or actually anybody. I never worked for anybody in regards to that. I did have a few personal clients that I would train at other gyms, and I had little deals with them, but I was always kind of like a private contractor-esque personal trainer, not so much so an employee of anybody. And so I did that for a little while, and I would make, a few $100s a month, but it definitely wasn't full-time income or anything to brag about. And then mainly my income came from bartending. So I was a bartender at a not so fancy restaurant. It was just like a regular Mexican lower end restaurant. So it's it had a bar, but it's kind of like the equivalent of like Islands, if you know what that is, for burgers and fries. So it wasn't super high end at all. And it was in a really nice area, so that was nice. But I would probably bring home about maybe 150 to $250 a day in tips. So basically, my income, because I only worked 3 days a week, I worked about 24 to 26 hours a week at that job while I was going to school full time as well, trying to get a degree in something that I didn't know what. Um, but yeah, that's for another video. So I just want to stay on track for this video as best as I can. So with that information now you know. Um, I I got hired as a bartender at 21 years old. Um, the manager at the time I was already friends with because I had worked there previously, so I already knew him. And also he wanted some workout advice and stuff like that. He knew I was a trainer, so it was kind of like he wanted me there so he could ask me questions about working out, and I wanted to be there to make money, and it was the best opportunity that I had at the moment, not having any degree, and so basically I worked there for a few years, and lived with my mom, and then I moved to my dad's, and then I moved out with my girlfriend and a roommate, and I was living out in an apartment in Irvine, California, and everything was going okay. Um, my income wasn't the best by any means, but I was going to school full time, so I definitely wasn't taking full advantage of the time I had to make money. It was a lot of it was going to studies, and so I didn't know really what I wanted to be uh, at the end of it all, but I knew that I wanted to make more than I was making then, and what I was making then was about 26 to $2,800 a month, depending on kind of what month it was, if there's a holiday or whatever, or good days, bad days, whatever. It was basically translated to about 35, maybe 36,000 a year. So I was living pretty frugally. Yeah, so that was kind of like the most amount of money that I had ever made. I had a couple extra $100s a month from personal training and stuff like that. But regardless, the whole point of this video is to go into what happened with my life and back in. So I got hired when I was 21. I worked until I was 27. And then in December of 2019, I knew COVID was happening because my girlfriend at the time was Chinese, and she knew what was happening in China with COVID, and I knew in my head, I'm just like, there's no way this is getting contained and staying in China. This is going to spread 100%. And so we bought a bunch of masks. I kind of prepped for this. Thankfully, I was always decent with my money, lived within my means, so I never had really much of a savings account. But I did have, I was on set to pay off a 5-year car loan for my car, in 4 years. So I was really happy about that. I was almost done with it. So our lease was up in July of 2020, and I was still working in 2019. But come March of 2020, they finally laid me off when COVID became too rough, and were no bar there were no bar clients anymore. Nobody would come to the restaurant except to get to-go orders, and that didn't help in terms of tips. So they said I could either be a cashier and just kind of sit at the front and help with to-go orders, or I can, go on unemployment. And so that's what I did. And unemployment, ironically, was being assisted by the government, and I was actually making about 4 grand a month on unemployment. So that was super nice. I was sitting at home basically doing nothing for about 2 months, from April and May, and then most of June. And I was making like 4 grand a month. So it was crazy just sitting home doing nothing, making more money than I was busting my butt. I was finishing school, but yeah, busting my butt at work every weekend. I was just sitting here making more money per month, or yeah, per day and per month, whatever. So it's pretty awesome. But anyway, I knew that I had to do something, and I knew that unemployment was eventually going to dwindle and go down to nothing. So I I asked my stepmom if she had any positions open at her bank. She's been a loan processor for a very long time, and she said you should try being a loan officer. That's something unique, and it pays well, and you don't need a degree. And I'm just like, oh, great, sounds good to me. I've always been interested in financing, mortgages, things like that. Like owning a home has been super. Rental properties, I've always looked at that type of stuff on Bigger Pockets and things like that. So um, basically, I said this sounds like a great fit for me, and I became a CSR, customer sales rep. So as a customer sales rep, literally all you had to do was just call people all day. It's basically a call center, except because of COVID, you were working remote. So I stayed in this room and just called people all day for 8 hours a day. And I would make about, with everything, including my little commission that I would get, about $1,000 in commission, and then $1,000 paychecks. So I'd be making about 3 grand, $1,000 every 2 weeks, and I'd be making about 3 grand in total every month, working full time. And I'm just like, whew, this is a little rough. This isn't nearly what I want to make for the amount of effort that I'm putting in. So I took my SAFE exam, which is what I needed to do to become a loan officer, and then eventually got promoted. And I got promoted. If I didn't tell you already, I started on June 24th, and I got promoted in December, November, the end of November, and I started my first training to be a loan officer in December. And I was on the phones for the first time as a loan officer December 17th. So once my first month as a loan officer, I made $4,000 in commission, and then my regular paychecks, which were about $1,300 uh, take home. So I think I made like 4 grand take home, something like a little over 4 grand take home net profit in that first month as a loan officer. And I'm just like, okay, that's I think I made more money as a loan officer that first month than I had made in my entire life ever. And this was a very reduced commission because it takes time for loans to fund. And so the amount of money that I was making was a lot less than what normal loan officers make. And then my second month, which was in well, I made that money for December and January. And then my February funding, I made I funded 12 loans. So that was $10,800 in gross income in my commission, plus the $1,500 paychecks for regular $15 an hour or hourly plus overtime. So really, I was probably bringing home about 7 grand that month, something like that. And that was insane. A little over 7 grand. I'm just like, whoa, that's like double what I was making, more than double what I was making as a bartender. And uh, and then the next month after that, I brought 13,000, I think, in for Marches. And then in April, yeah, I think April and May, I think I did 12 again. Uh, or no, April I did 12, and then May I did 15. So last month, In May, I did 15,000 in commission. So yeah, it was just pretty crazy the amount of money that I was making then. It was really good. Actually, no, I think in May it was I think May it was 12 and in April I think was 15. Pretty sure. Anyway, um, uh, crazy money, crazy amounts of money for me. And this wasn't even like me hitting top tier. This is like me being a very brand new to the industry and not knowing what the heck I'm doing, just kind of figuring everything out. And and so now I have a lot more money than I ever did. I've got about $8,600 in just regular stocks on Robinhood. I've got I've got about 6 grand in my 401k. I've got about 15 grand in my savings account and probably about like 4,000 in my checking. I'm just like, and I'm debt free. I have no debt. And I'm just like, I have no idea. Within 6 months, I went from being like 3 grand in debt to having a net worth of almost $40,000. And, um, that's including my car's value. But still, it's like, that's insane. That's insane in 6 months. I look on my paychecks and I've already made, I think, almost 65,000, and it's only, it's bordering the end of June here. So if everything just continues to be how it was for the rest of the year here, it's very easily making 6 figures this year. And so that kind of brings me on to my next topic here, which is what I'm going to talk about money, and happiness and being debt free and all that type of stuff, and kind of the pros and also some of the cons of having this money now. So that's for my next video, guys. So thanks so much for watching. And if you haven't subscribed, if you want to subscribe and follow my life, I'm going to be just talking about my kind of daily and just some stories about my past and stuff like that. It's just for my own record. So if you feel like that's something that's interesting to you, you can go ahead and subscribe and really appreciate it. All right. Well, have a good rest of your day. Bye bye.